I feel like I am not in frame. Oh, pretty, pretty boys. Pretty, pretty boys, boys. I hope I didn't just knock my camera out of whack. I have 10 minutes to get this done. Okay. Hi everyone, welcome back to Kaylare.reads. My name is Kaylare. Thank you all for joining me today. I really just want to start out by saying I'm so sorry for not posting in so long. I went MIA. I posted 2 videos and dipped. I had the worst reading slump I think I've ever been in. I don't believe reading slumps truly exist unless you count it. But like, I have been wanting to read for the longest, and then work kept catching up, and then life kept catching up, and then I ended up reading like maybe 2 pages of a book in 3 weeks, and then I ended up not finishing a lot of books, and then I felt really, really bad. But that's not why we're here. No, that's not why we're here. We're here because it's Pride Month. Yay! Happy Pride to everyone who celebrates. Y'all means all. And love is love, no matter who you love, or how you love, or how you choose to live. So happy Pride. So I thought I would share a few of my Pride reads. I have a bunch, actually. I didn't realize I had this many. I was just gonna do maybe like 5 or 6, but then I started going through my reading and I was like, actually I want to do all of these because I feel they all deserve a bit of a spotlight. So let's get into it. Also, please ignore my hair. I've been having a rough day with it. Like a really, really rough day with it. So let's get started. I want to start out with some manga that I had on my shelf that I wanted to highlight. We have Ranma 1/2, which is a 90s, late 80s, early 90s manga, which has a remake, and it has an original anime from the 90s. I think it came out in like 96, 97, and then there's a remake anime on Netflix right now. But nothing beats the original source material. I fully believe Ranma is a like gender non-binary, gender fluid icon. Ranma 1/2 follows our titular character. Their name is Ranma. Ranma was born boy, was born male. After an incident, when touched by cold water, Ranma turns female and turns into a girl. And when touched back with warm water, they turn back into their male form. But it follows Ranma as they have been in an arranged marriage, or betrothed for an arranged marriage, to a girl named, I forgot her name. Oh no. I forgot her name. Oops. I want to say it's Kyoko, but that's not her name. But just know they've been betrothed to marry their father's friend's daughter, who absolutely cannot stand Ranma. They hate each other. It's just know that. She calls them a pervert. A bunch of antics ensue, but they do end up falling in love. It's really cute. Love it. Gender fluid icon. Granted, this was written in the 80s and 90s, so there is a bit of like sentiments towards certain things, specifically like gender identity and national identity, I guess, that are a little wonky, but still really good. My second one is like probably the most popular thing on the internet right now for queer manga readers, and it's the guy she was interested in wasn't a guy at all, aka Green Yuri. Love this series. I love this since the first little one-shot picture was drawn and she posted it on Twitter. Miss Arai, I love you. She has another work that I really, really like, and I cannot remember the name of it. When I remember it, I'll post it in like the comments or something, or I'll talk about it on Instagram. But that was another really good one shot. Also tragically gay. I shouldn't say tragically gay, but it was a gay tragedy. Angst, if you will. Really good though. But the guy she was interested in wasn't a guy at all. Follows Aya, who is a really, really popular high school student who really loves rock music, more specifically American rock music. And she's crushing really, really hard on the boy who works at the record store that she goes to all the time. Funnily enough, she's talking about the guy while sitting next to her desk mate, whose name is Mitski. And Mitski is actually the guy she's talking about. Mitski, who has like this really like punk rock style, very tomboyish, but also really, really shy, barely ever talks at school, barely ever like makes friends with a lot of people. She's more so to herself. Works at the record store with her uncle who owns it. And they end up becoming best friends while Mitski is trying to hide her identity from Aya. But they end up like becoming best friends and maybe even more. This is getting an anime soon. I'm so excited. I'm literally gonna scream. You can ask anyone. You can ask my family. I talk about this all the time. Kinokuniya, or I forget the name of the store, I'm so sorry, came out with stickers, like collaborative stickers with an artist. I bought all 3 of them. I have matching keychains of Aya and Mitski. I love this book so much. It's so cute. Definitely worth the read. And now I don't really have any more physical manga with me, but I do have a few I'm going to talk about later with my digital stuff. But I want to get into some more books that I have on my shelves that are for Pride. We have Ace of Spades. Ace of Spades is by Farida Abike Iyemedi. I'm so sorry if I butchered your name, Queen. She actually has 2 books that a lot of people recommend for Pride. So you have this book, which follows Chiamaka and Devin, who are the only 2 black students in their grade at a prestigious private school, and are part of like 5 students who get chosen to be prefects and in the running for valedictorian at their school. But the high and celebration of that achievement is very short-lived. Because all of a sudden a person by the name of Aces starts spreading rumors and messages and things about Chiamaka and Devin to the rest of the school. Trigger warnings for homophobia, bullying, lots of things like that. Because Devin is gay, and like his friends know he's gay, and the people he's dated know he's gay, but his mom doesn't. And that's a big fear that he has, is like his mom finding out and like not loving him anymore. So spoiler and trigger warning for that. But follows Chiamaka and Devin and how they try to figure out who Aces is and try to solve the mystery before it ends up being too late, before someone gets hurt. Really good. I actually really like it. Her other book, I think I've completely blanked on the name of it. I will also put that down in the description. Everyone keeps telling me to read it, and I honestly keep forgetting, and I'm so sorry, but everyone says it's really, really good, so keep an eye out for that one too when you see other people recommending books. Next, I have actually 2 books by this author. I just bought one. I just bought this one. I finished this one and I've talked about it a lot. This is called She is a Haunting by Chang Tan Chan. I think I said your name right. I hope I did. Sorry if I butchered it again. This is She is a Haunting, and this is They Bloom at Night. She is a Haunting is about a young girl named Jade, Jade is, the daughter of Vietnamese immigrants who came to America looking for a better life. She has 2 younger siblings. Her parents are separated, and her father lives back in Vietnam. Her mom lives in America with them. Jade hasn't spoken to her father in years, but she's going to spend the summer with him because he made a deal. If she stays with him and helps him work on a website for a French colonial house that he's turning into a bed and breakfast for the entire summer, she stays with him for the entire summer, he will pay for her to go to college. Done deal. Jade's like, fine, whatever, I'll just ignore him and only talk to him the bare minimum if I can. Get the website done, stay the summer, be rid of him while he pays for my tuition. She wishes it was that simple. Jade ends up plagued with sleep paralysis every single night and is haunted in her dreams by ghosts that live in the house. One is a young Vietnamese girl, and the other is a French settler who basically built and owned the house. And while Jade is plagued by these nightmares, she struggles a lot with her identity. She struggles a lot with family and guilt for things that she believes that she was responsible for in the past. And it talks a lot about that, and I really enjoy it. So, yeah. And then I just bought this book. I haven't started it yet, but it's called They Bloom at Night. And it follows a young girl named Noon who lives in the town of Mercy, Louisiana, which has officially started being submerged in water after a huge hurricane hits the state of Louisiana. And there are sea monsters who go and they drag people underwater and they're killing people. There's this red algae that's continuing to bloom and is making it really hard for people to live there. So Noon and her mother are tasked with the job of figuring out what it is that's killing people and killing it. Whether that be the algae, whether that be sea monsters, whether that be something completely different, they are tasked with killing it. And she ends up finding a really good ally in the harbor master's or like the harbor leader's daughter. And it follows Noon and her discovery of self, her fight to save her hometown, as well as discovering a bit more about herself, her past, and her future. So I'm really excited to read it. I've heard great things about it. I love She Is a Haunting, so I'm sure I'll love this as well. So it's super exciting. And then this is my current read that I'm reading for my Pride read along. It is called The Emperor in the Endless Palace by Justinian Huang. I believe this is Mr. Huang's debut novel. Really good so far. I'm about 100 and so pages in. It's really good. It follows the story of two young men who are continuously running into each other in different lifetimes. So we have one lifetime which takes place in 4 BCE with inside the actual Endless Palace. And then we have another one that takes place in the 1700s in a small countryside town near the mountains. And then we have the final one which takes place in modern day in Los Angeles. And it follows the stories of two men who keep coming across one another in 3 separate lifetimes. And they always come together and then are ripped apart, but they always try to fight to stay together. And so the first time they meet is in like 4 BCE, and one of them is the emperor, and they meet in the Endless Palace, which is why this is the title. The second lifetime is in the 1740s, I believe, in a small countryside village near the mountains. And then the last lifetime is modern day Los Angeles. And it talks a lot about like the things that bring them together, the forces that try to pull them apart, how they stay together, how they go apart, how they, fight for one another, how they fight with one another. It's really good so far. I enjoy the fact that it's written in like, it's not in chronological order. So it doesn't tell you the story of one lifeline and then cuts and then goes to the next one and then cuts. It tells you the story in parts. So like the first chapter is one life, the second chapter is another life, and the third chapter is another life. And they don't start with the 4 BCE one. They don't start you with the very first one. They kind of start you in the middle of the lifelines, which is really, really nice. So yeah, Mr. Huang, I really like it. And that's all for my like physical books that I have for Pride. But I do also have a few that I've read digitally that I want to get into, and hopefully my camera doesn't cut off. But the first one is Our Dreams at Dusk. Trigger warning for this book though. There is like first chapter themes of suicidal ideation, themes of homophobia and bullying. And that's apparent through a lot of the book. Themes of like transphobia, homophobia, suicidal ideation, abuse, things like that. So trigger warnings for that. But this is Our Dreams at Dusk by Yuki Kamatani. It's really good. It follows this character. His name is, and I have it in my notes. Wait, everyone wait. His name is Tasuku. So Tasuku, out of fear of being outed at his new school, tries to take really desperate measures. But after seeing what he believes is someone falling off the side of a cliff, he runs into a local community center to try to save them. It ends up that person is named Someone-san, and Someone-san owns the community center. And while there, he ends up meeting this like amazing group of people who share like the same history or the same past that Tasuku is experiencing. It talks a lot about acceptance and found family, and I really love it. I think it's so cute. It's so cute. There are so many volumes. There are about, I think, 7 or 8 so far. I really love it. It might be more, but yeah, I suggest reading it. The next one I have, because I'm gonna just stick with my manga and my webtoons, and then I'll get into like the novels I've read, is Duban Ihisu, or Hisu in Class 2. I love this webtoon. It's so cute. I've read both the webtoons by this author. Her name's Lily. I've read both webtoons by her. So it's Hisu in Class 2 and then Seeing Double. Seeing Double is for the messy people. That's for the girls who love just drama and mess. Because when I tell you the debate that was going on in the comments of that webtoon had me crying laughing. But Hisu in Class 2 is really cute. It's a really good beginner webtoon for people who want to get into like BL or queer coded webtoons. So Hisu in Class 2 follows Ihisu, who his entire life revolves around his best friend Chanyoung, who he has a crush on. But Chanyoung only really comes to Hisu when he's having girl problems, because Hisu gives really good dating advice because he grew up with like all of his sisters. And so eventually Hisu hears like his name floating around school, and there's a rumor going around that says, oh, if you have a love problem, call Hisu in Class 2 and he'll know what to do. That's the rumor. But the issue is that Hisu has never dated before a day in his life. He actually doesn't have much of a love life to try to give, for people to want to ask him for advice. So with his love life a mess, with a crush on a guy who is only coming to him when he has girl problems, and basically non-existent love life outside of that, Hisu is a little on edge about helping other people, but he does eventually, because that's just who he is. And I think that's adorable. It's really cute. Don't worry, there is a happy ending for the most part. A lot of people are really upset about the ending, but I think it's adorable. I think it's so cute. My next comic is Lunar Boy by Jess and Sin Weeble. I haven't read this yet. This is actually recommended to me, but I read snippets of it and it's so cute. It's about this little boy. His name is Indu. Indu moved to Earth from the moon with his mom because his mom's job relocated them there. And Indu is having a hard time fitting in. Their host family doesn't really know what to do with him. They don't really care much for him. He has a giant crush on his pen pal that he doesn't even know if they like him back. He's having a hard time making friends at school, and all he really wants to do is go back home to the moon. And so he makes a wish. He wishes to go back to the moon, and the moon tells him, I will come and get you on the first day of the new year if you really want to come back to me. But while waiting for the first day of the new year to come around, Indu starts finding peace with his new life. He starts, making more friends. He starts, discovering more about himself, and he has to start to question whether or not he truly wants to go back to the moon when the moon returns for him. I think it's really cute. I'm super excited to read it. I have placed an order to get this, so hopefully it gets here in time for me to read it before Pride Month then, but even so, I'll read it afterwards anyway. So, so cute. Now onto like novels I've read digitally through like Libby or Fable. This Ravenous Fate, which is a novel, it's a vampire novel about 1920s Harlem that follows Elise Saint, whose father is the head of Saint Empires, which is known as the killing machine for vampire-like creatures named Reapers. The issue is that Elise has a best friend and secret first love named Layla, who, when they were younger, was turned into a Reaper at the hands of what Layla assumes is Elise's father. And so after like a murder takes place that frames Layla, Elise and Layla have to come together to work on the case to prove Layla's innocence, to stop the Reapers of Harlem from rebelling against Elise's father, and from stopping Elise's father from making a business decision that would ultimately destroy the world in a sense. Really good. It's actually part of a duology, I believe. The second book comes out this year. I'm really excited to read it. It's written by Haley Dennings, so I'm excited because that cliffhanger, yeah, I need to read the second book immediately. This is a nonfiction book that was published posthumously. It's called Black Folk Could Fly by Randall Keenan. It is a collection of writings and short stories by Keenan, who's a professor of mine at UNC, who it details his life growing up in the South as like a young black boy, and then later growing into like a young, black man in North Carolina, in Appalachian, North Carolina. It talks about the women who raised him, which includes like his grandmother and his aunts. It talks about like food and how love and food and life and all of that are interconnected. It ends with a love letter to his godson, and it's beautifully written, as are all of his works. It's beautifully written, it's beautifully organized, and I cried when I read it, so yes. Our next book is Most Ardently by Gabe Cole Novoa. There we go. Most Ardently is a Pride and Prejudice retelling about Oliver, who to all of proper society is known as Elizabeth, even though that's not who Oliver is at all. Oliver hates the petticoats and the societal pressures to be the perfect young lady. He hates having to go to balls to try to find himself a suitable husband. So when he gets a chance, he sneaks out at night to live his life not as Lizzie or Elizabeth, but as Oliver. And one night he comes across the stoic Darcy, who at a former societal event spoke very illy to Elizabeth. But him and Oliver and Darcy end up becoming friends, and he ends up finding out that there's more than what's beneath the surface or first impressions. The next book is called Pet by Akweke Imezi. Pet follows a young girl named Jam, who her and her best friend Redemption have always lived in a world where monsters never existed. They've always been told by their mothers, their family, their community, monsters never existed. So when Jam accidentally summons up a horned creature named Pet, which its only task is to hunt monsters, she finds that everything she's ever been taught is a lie. And so in order to save her friend Redemption, who Pet says has shadows and monsters lurking in her home, Jam teams up with Pet to save their community and ultimately herself. My camera cut out again. I want to talk a little bit, just like for a short minute, about The Great Believers by Rebecca Mackay. I'm sorry if I said your name wrong. But The Great Believers details the story of two people named Yale and Fiona, who have both been affected by the 1980s AIDS epidemic in different ways. It's told in part in the past, which details Yale's story about losing a lot of his friends, specifically his best friend Nico, to the AIDS epidemic in the 80s. And then it's told partly in the present tense or present day, where Nico's sister Fiona is looking for her estranged daughter in France. And while staying with a friend who is a photographer, she ends up reflecting on how like the loss of her brother and the AIDS epidemic also affected her relationship with her daughter, and her relationship with others. And it's cute. I like it. I shouldn't say it. I haven't read it yet, but I enjoy the idea, and I enjoy all that like Miss Mackay is trying to state in her writing. Editor Kayla here. I started reading this and I cried. So the next book I want to talk about is called The Final Strife by Sarah El Arifi. I hope I said your name right as well. Which follows 3 young women named Sila, who has the blue blood of the resistance, Anur, who has the red blood of the elite and is the daughter of a very prominent figure in their society but is deemed like useless by her mother, and Hessa, who has the clear blood of the invisible or those forgotten. And they all meet together to, fight in a revolution that ends up burning cities and changing the powers within them. And I've heard really good things about this book. It's actually a part of a series or a duology, which I've heard nothing but good things about. So I'm very excited to read it. And then finally, we have the Sunbearer Trials, which I have heard nothing but great things about Aiden Thomas. Whether it's for the Sunbearer Trials or Celestial Monsters, Celestial Beings. So sorry if I got the name of that book wrong. Or Cemetery Boys. Everyone raves about Cemetery Boys. I really need to get my hands on a copy, but I want to read these first. So the Sunbearer Trials follows a young semi-diocese named Teo, who is the son of the Quetzal. I probably just said that wrong. I'm so sorry. Who his entire life has believed that he will not have to compete in the Sunbearer Trials, which are a series of events that are in the honor of Sol, who is the sun god who defeats obsidian beings to protect the people of Reino del Sol. And the winner goes and lights all the altars to Sol, while the lowest competitor or the loser of the competition is a sacrifice to him. Teo has always felt that he will never have to compete in these events because of his status and everything. So he's always like, oh, I wouldn't compete, but his friend may compete, or his rival would be a shoo-in for it. But when Teo is picked, or Teo is chosen to compete in these games, as well as 13-year-old Shio, the two become friends and they fight together to survive, basically. And I've heard nothing but good things about it. I'm super excited to read it. My hold at the library on Libby is almost over. I have like 1 week left on my hold, so fingers crossed. But yeah, heard nothing but good things. Super excited to read it. And that is all for the top of my head Pride Month reads. I hope you guys are allowed. Wow. It's been a long day. Can you tell? I hope you guys are able to check out some of these incredible books, and I hope you guys are able to read a few. And if possible, leave a recommendation down below in the comments or on any of my social media, Kaylare.reads. Thank you guys for joining me for the book club. Happy Pride. I hope you guys have a good one.